Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Supporting and empowering innovation, top discussions at the second meeting of the Research Council. The public subscriptions is open for government's development bonds worth 150 million Omani riyals. The second phase of national measles immunization campaign starts in the Sultanate. And a number of Omani writers, literates and artists discuss improving and extending activities of Sultan Qaboos Higher Center for Culture and Science. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Said has sent a cabal of condolences to His Excellency President Enrique Pena Nieto of the United Mexican States on victims of the earthquake that hit the southern Mexico. Supporting and empowering innovation was the most highlighted topic in the second meeting of the Scientific Research Council Authority. The Council approved in principles on the proposal of updating and restructuring the Open Research Grants Program to be divided to 3 different support programs. During the meeting, cooperation between the Scientific Research Council and Petroleum Development of Oman to develop and administer the Institute of Integration of Advanced Technologies. The meeting was presided over by His Highness Sayyid Shihab bin Tariq Al Said, advisor of His Majesty the Sultan, Chairman of the Council. The second phase of the national measles immunization campaign was launched today by His Excellency Sayyid Saud bin Hilal Al Busaidi, Minister of the State and Governor of Muscat. More details in the following report. The Minister of Health's second phase of mass measles vaccination campaign commenced this morning in the Governorate of Muscat and all governorates of the Sultanate except Governorate of the Far and Al-Wusta, as it was carried out in Phase 1 held in May this year. The Minister of Health has been guided by academic institutions and international agencies like World Health Organization. The ministry stresses that the vaccine used for the immunization MMR is highly safe and has no serious or significant side effects. The ministry calls on all people in the Sultanate aged 20 to 35 years to visit the public or private health institutions to get the free vaccine. Similarly, the campaign have been launched today in the rest of the targeted governorates under the patronage of the respective governors with the attendance of their excellencies and the secretaries of the Minister of Health. Accordingly, authorized public and private health institutions affiliated with the Minister of Health and other non-Minister of Health institutions such as the military and security authorities, Diwan of the Royal Court and Sultan Qaboos University Hospital, in addition to a number of private sector health establishments, have started receiving citizens and residents within the targeted age group to be given the free measles vaccine. Vaccine saves millions of lives every year. They are safest and most effective public health intervention. Having a highly vaccinated population helps prevent the spread of measles. Oman has made significant progress towards measles elimination and did meet elimination goals. However, new challenges faced by Oman, similar to other countries, that is, increased globalization led to issues such as outbreaks from imported cases. Thus, we have seen the year before, number of cases were reported, including this year.
This is the second phase because we had the first phase in Dhofar and Al-Wusta, that was last May. Now we are aiming to immunize around 1,600,000 of the people at the ages between 20 and 35. I'd like to reassure people that the vaccine is very safe with no serious side effects. The vaccine is going to be offered free of charge in all of the government health institutions and some of the allocated private institutions. And I would really urge all the people, Omanis and non-Omanis, from the age of 20 and 35 to go for to take the vaccine. We found that most of the cases in Oman which are affected by measles is this age group between 20 and 35. And also we have made a big study in the country with more than 2,000 people tested, and we found that these people are having an immunity gap, i.e. their immunity to measles is too low. So these people can get affected, and also when they get affected, they will be like a reservoir of the virus which spreads to the newborns. You know, we start the vaccination at the age of 12 months, and the other age group which we found that is affected by measles is from 6 months to 12 months, because these people, they have lost the immunity which they got from their mothers, and they are vulnerable for measles until they receive the vaccine at 12 months.
Does the public aware about the measles? So what is measles, and what are the consequences if they don't take the vaccination?
Actually, to my surprise, yes, they're very aware. Yesterday we had an event in City Center which was called the Social Gathering for the Measles Campaign. And it was amazing how different nationalities all knew about the disease. And they were actually very, very keen on coming to take the vaccine. So we had it yesterday, we gave 100 people vaccines, and they were all fighting to have more. In case you don't come, then you need to know that this affects pregnant women a lot, where you can have preterm labor and also abortion. And for the rest of the public, it can also cause difficulty in breathing because it's related to the lung and the throat. It's a virus that is usually in the lining of the lung and throat. And also it can cause diarrhea, it can cause also ear infections. So we really highly recommend that everybody comes and takes this vaccine.
For your safety and safety of others, you need to have this vaccine.
Of course, healthcare workers take 2 doses, but for the general public it's 1 dose. And I took mine on Friday, so I advise everybody to take this as well.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, and wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Now, to learn more on the same subject, with us here in the studio is Dr. Hanan bin Salim Al-Kindia, Senior Consultant in Virology, Ministry of Health. Dr. Hanan, welcome to the studio here with us. And it is well known that having a highly vaccinated population helps prevent the spread of measles. The efforts the Ministry of Health exerted is well realized. However, we would like to know whether the public is fully aware of this infectious disease and how contagious it is.
Thank you for having me today. Measles disease is caused by a virus, and it is a very highly infective virus that can spread easily from an infected person to a susceptible person. So in a community, the more people who are susceptible to this infection, the more chance if an introduction of this virus to that community, it would spread, and it can cause outbreaks. And if that outbreaks continue for a long time, the disease can become endemic in one community. One of the best ways to stop this chain of transmission is the use of the MMR vaccine. And that's very well known globally.
And people have really to take the vaccine in this particular case. Now, if there is a breakthrough actually of the measles, what will happen actually? That one case can spread, number of cases, average how many cases will be there?
That one case can spread if it is surrounded by people who are who have the ability to get the infection, who are not immunized or have never been infected with measles. What we found for that age group, 20 to 35, that there is a good percentage of people who are susceptible. Hence, we started this vaccination campaign to stop the disease from spreading in the community. If the measles vaccine enters a community that is very well vaccinated with very high level of immune system which can defend the virus, it would not spread, it would not cause outbreaks.
I believe 1 probably to 10 people can be infected.
Even
actually.
18 people.
Up to 18, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Now, apart from using these media facilities that we have here, what are the other methods Ministry of Health is using to inform the public?
We have used several short, clear advertisement messages that went through the television, the radio, the newspapers in simple language to tell people about the disease, about the campaign, about the age group also, which is targeted. There are several talks in television channel, local television channels and radio program, and we made clear or sure that it would come in different parts of the day, so it would reach wide group of people. One of the most powerful ways which I feel personally it's very good in sending the message is social media. The beauty about social media that we used it in different languages, not only in English and Arabic, we have used it in a lot of other
Different languages, yeah.
And it's also interactive, so right and then people can ask you in Twitter and you can reply. And it's a very strong way because rumors can happen anytime and you can right and then tell them that
in fact, currently there is a rumor actually which is going on through the country. People are advised not to follow the rumors actually, to stick to the official media and also from the Minister of Health.
I strongly urge people here who are watching us to take the information from the right source and not to listen to rumors which are not based on any scientific evidence.
Okay. Now, finally, the question is here. You have indicated age 20 to 35. Who else should not take apart from the those who are below 20 and over 35?
Pregnant ladies should avoid taking the vaccine. They can take the vaccine after they deliver.
Okay.
People who have low immune system, either congenital or because of the disease or the drugs they are taking, like HIV people, people with leukemia, lymphoma, or organ transplant.
Kidney failure.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we would like to thank you very much for this short interview, but I believe it's very useful to the public. So thank you very much for being with us. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. The Sultanate is one of the leading countries in expanded immunization with the testimony of international organizations. Muscat is considered one of the training centers for health workers from around the world. That was stated by His Excellency Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed Al-Saidi, Minister of Health.
في العام المنصرم حصلت السلطنة على المركز الأول في إدارة الطعوم أو اللقاحات من بين 127 دولة. السلطنة اختيرت كأحسن نموذج والسلطنة الآن مركز
850 million Omani Riyals worth public subscriptions started today through auction for the 54th edition of the government's development bonds. The bonds will be issued in the 20th of this month 2017, and the subscriptions will be available for all categories of investors from inside and outside the Sultanate. The subscriptions for these bonds will be for a period of 10 years and will be repaid on the 20th of September 2027 with an interest rate of 5.75% annually. This is the fourth subscriptions for bonds this year, and it is considered a part of the government's program in issuing bonds. The interest rate was increased gradually, starting from 5.25 to 5.5 and now reached 5.75, which reflects there is sufficient liquidity in the Sultanate's banks. The interest on the new bonds are payable twice a year. A consultation meeting prior to the announcement of its cultural activities plan was organized by Sultan Qaboos Higher Center for Culture and Science with Omani writers, literates and artists. The event, held for the first time, came up of views and ideas to develop the works of the center and Sultan Qaboos Award with all its branches. The activities of the center crossed the borders of the Sultanate through the establishments of 16 chairs in 14 international universities and the opening of Sultan Qaboos Cultural Center in Washington. At the domestic level, the most important activities of the center are Sultan Qaboos Holy Quran Award and Sultan Qaboos Award for Culture, Science and Arts. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and still to come in our news bulletin. Aiming at raising the number of sea species and developing the occupational fishing sector, the Artificial Coral Reefs project is launched. Consultative Capabilities Development Program designed for experts started with theoretical and practical lectures. A number of experts from various government bodies are taking part in the event. The 3-month program is being organized by the Capabilities Development Institute at the Diwan of the Royal Court. It discusses topics related to management, personal leadership, project planning, communication skills, decision-making and analysis tools. The second phase of the promotional campaign investment in Duqm kicked off. The campaign focused on marketing motives rendered by the Special Economic Zone Authority at Duqm and the projects available in the zone, as well as the investment environment in the Sultanate in general. The campaign aims at attracting Chinese companies for investments and acquaint them with the geographical location of Duqm on the Indian Ocean and Arab Gulf. The Minister of Commerce and Industry issued a regulation of organizing and managing exhibitions. The regulation determined terms and conditions of practicing the activity of organizing and managing exhibitions. The ministry called upon organizers of exhibitions and commercial establishments which practice this type of activity to arrange their events according to the new regulation during a period not to exceed 1 year. According to the regulation, the licensee is prohibited to promote and advertise about the event or activity through the social media means before getting the requisite license. The regulation stipulates that the license or organizers of an event to present an annual work plan to bodies concerned before 5 months at least. It also emphasizes on the necessity of floating bids by bodies concerned with the organizing consumer exhibition, taking into consideration that the organization or individual willing to organize an exhibition should fulfill a number of conditions. Artificial coral reefs project in the Sea of Oman in the Governorate of North Al-Batina is one of the scientific projects aiming at raising the number of sea species and developing the occupational fishing sector. It was launched by the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries 3 years ago in cooperation with Juzur Enterprise, who funded the project. It achieved the tangible success. The fishermen in the Governorate of North Al-Batina benefited from the outcome of the project, which provided suitable environment for breeding of various sea species. Now for the international news. Syrian state media said that government forces have broken the Daesh group siege of the airport to the eastern city of Deir ez-Zor. The move provided relief for government forces trapped inside and laid the ground for further gains against the militants. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights Monitoring Group said pro-government forces opened an artillery to the airport, which has been besieged by the militants since early this year. Pro-government forces from other parts of the country reached Deir ez-Zor for the first time since 2014 last week. Civilians and security forces inside the city were sustained during the siege by airdrops from the United Nations and risky shipments via the airport. The Chief Minister of Gibraltar today said the territory was united with Britain during the Brexit process. Fabian Picardo, speaking during Gibraltar's National Day, also reaffirmed the area's desire to continue with the sole British sovereignty. Picardo said he wants to establish that bilateral relationship of trade to continue the morning after Brexit, as if the single market between Gibraltar and the UK seamlessly moved from the moment to the next. Gibraltar has strong economic connections with surrounding Spanish regions. In last year's vote, 96% of Gibraltarians voted for Britain to remain in the European Union. Gibraltarians overwhelmingly rejected their proposal to share sovereignty with Spain in a 2002 referendum. Announcing itself with the roaring 125 miles per hour winds, Hurricane Irma plowed into the mostly emptied out Florida Keys early today for the start of what could be a slow, ruinous march up the state west coast towards the heavily populated Tampa-St. Petersburg area. With an estimated 127,000 huddling in shelters statewide, the storm lashed the low-lying string of islands with drenching rain and knocked out power to over 1 million customers across Florida. Earlier, Florida Governor Rick Scott was speaking to reporters, and he had this to say.
Hurricane Irma is already impacting Florida, and the heart of this storm is quickly approaching us. Here's the weather. South Florida is already experiencing tropical storm force winds and dangerous seas. Hurricane Irma is battering South Florida and the Florida Keys with dangerous winds and continues to remain a catastrophic and life-threatening major Category 3 storm with winds of 125 miles per hour. We saw what Hurricane Irma did to this community last year, and we could see similar or more severe wind threats from Irma. If you have been ordered to evacuate, you need to leave now. This is your last chance to make a good decision. Evacuations are in place in areas across the state. More than 6.5 million Floridians have been ordered to evacuate. Do not put yourself or your family.
At least 5 people have died after strong winds and heavy rains swept through northern Italy today, causing severe flooding in the Tuscan city of Livorno. 4 of the 5 were found in a flooded basement and were believed to belong to the same family. Parked cars were nearly entirely underwater in some parts of the city, while other streets were submerged in mud after local landslides. The Civil Protection Agency issued an orange weather alert for Florence, and emergency services were on standby in the capital, Rome. And now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas of the Governorate of Dhofar and its nearby mountains, with chances of intermittent drizzle. Rest of the Sultanate will have clear skies with chances of scattered rainfall over the Hajar Mountains. Winds will be southerly to southeasterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Supporting and empowering innovation topped discussions at the second meeting of the Research Council. Public subscriptions is open for government's development bonds worth 150 million Omani riyals. The second phase of national measles immunization campaign starts in the Sultanate. And a Number of Omani writers, literates and artists discuss improving and extending activities of Sultan Qaboos Higher Center for Culture and Science. And with that, we will conclude this news bulletin. Thank you for joining us and good night.